Hi, my name is Everett. Today I'm reading A Good Night for Ghosts by Mariupol Watchman Magic Trail Series, book number 42, A Merlin Mission. So, if you're sitting comfortably, let's begin. A hauntingly spooky mission, wherein Merlin the Magician sends Jack Nanny to the Orleans, Louisiana in 1915. They're on a mission to inspire a young Louis Armstrong to bring a jazz to the world. Unfortunately, Louis is too busy working hard and support his family to spend time playing music. What's more, Jack and Annie discover that New Orleans is not only birthplace of jazz, it's also haunted. It will take a host of ghosts and daring plan from Jack and Annie to make these mission a success. Sorry, I have to flip all the way to it. Prologue. One summer day in Frog Creek, Pennsylvania, a mysterious treehouse appeared in the woods. A brother and sister named Jack and Annie soon learned about the treehouse. It could take them to any time and place in history. They also learned that the treehouse belonged to Morgan Le Fay, a magical librarian from the legendary realm of Camelot. After Jack and Annie had traveled on many adventures from Morgan, Merlin, the magician, began to send them on Merlin missions in the treehouse. With help from two young sorcerers named Teddy and Kathleen, Jack and Annie visited 4 mythical realms, places, and found valuable objects to help save Camelot. On their next 4 missions, Jack and Annie once again traveled to real times and real places in history. After they proved to Merlin that they knew how to use magic wisely, he awarded them with the Wand of Dianthus, a powerful magic wand that helped them make their own magic with the help of the wand. Jack and Annie were able to find 4 secrets of happiness to help Merlin when he was in trouble. Now Merlin wants Jack and Annie to bring happiness to others by helping 4 creative people give their special gifts to the world. Chapter 1. Way down yonders in New Orleans. Jack was asleep. He dreamed that he was sleeping on a boat. It was rocking back and forth, back and forth. Jack! Jack opened his eyes. It was just getting light outside. Rain was tapping against his window pane. Tappity tap tap. Jack closed his eyes again. Jack, get up! Jack opened one eye and looked up. Annie stood in his bed. She was already dressed. She was even wearing her raincoat. They're here, she whispered. No, they're not, said Jack. He closed his eye. Yes, they are, said Annie. They're waiting for us. How do you know? Said Jack. I dreamed it, said Annie. You dreamed it? Jack turned over and pulled his covers over his head. Go back to bed. It's really early, and it's raining. Come on, Jack, said Annie. I saw them. They are wearing their cloaks and looking out the treehouse window. Great, said Jack. I was just dreaming I was sleeping on a boat. But my dream was real, Jack, said Annie. Jack pretended to snore. Okay, said Annie. I guess you want me to go all by myself. You want me to go have a great adventure while you just lie here dreaming about sleeping. If that's what you really want to do, I'll leave you alone. Good, said Jack. Have fun. Don't worry, I will, said Annie, and she left Jack's room. Jack lay still for a moment, listening to the rain fall outside. Darn, he thought. What if she's right? Jack heaved a sigh, then he climbed out of bed. Jack pulled on his clothes and grabbed his backpack. He slipped downstairs and put his rain boots and raincoat. Then he headed out the front door. Annie was standing on the porch waiting for him. Ready, she said. Jack just grunted. But as he and Annie took off into the cool, rainy dawn, he woke up completely. As they charged up the sidewalk, Jack's heart pounded with excitement. By the time they headed into the Frog Creek woods, Jack felt like he had dreamed Annie's dream too. Raindrops tapped on tree branches. Jack and Annie scrunched over fallen red and gold leaves until they came to the tallest oak. Jack looked up. Ta-da, said Annie. The treehouse was back. And Teddy and Kathleen were dressed in long-out cloaks, looking out the window. Good morning, called Kathleen. We dreamed about you, said Jack. At least Annie did. Teddy and Kathleen smiled as if they weren't surprised at all. Annie and Jack started up the rope ladder. When they climbed inside the treehouse, they hugged the two young enchanters. "Welcome," said Kathleen. Her beautiful sea blue eyes sparkled. "Do you have another mission for us?" said Jack. "Indeed," said Teddy, smiling. "Just like last time, Merlin wants you to help a creative person bring his gifts to the world. And this will help you," said Kathleen. She pulled a book from her cloak. "Great," said Jack. He took the book from Kathleen. The cover showed a street parade with musicians playing trumpets and trombones. The title was A History of New Orleans. "New Orleans?" said Annie. "Yes, New Orleans, Louisiana," said Kathleen. "You will love the city," said Teddy. "Cool," said Annie. "And here is your magic flute," said Kathleen. She picked up the gleaming silver flute from the corner of the treehouse. It was the magic flute Jack had played on their adventure to Vienna, Australia. Only this time, Kathleen tossed the flute into the air. It hovered for a moment, then began to twirl around and around. There was a flash of blue light, and the flute was gone. Floating in its place was a shining brass instrument. Kathleen plucked the instrument from the air. "This time you will play a magic trumpet," she said. "Oh," breathed Jack. "That's incredible." "Yeah," said Annie. "I've always wanted to play a magic trumpet." Kathleen laughed. "Well, this is your chance," she said. "The trumpet's magic will make you a brilliant performer. But the magic can only happen once," Ted reminded Jack and Annie. "Just as on your last journey with the magic flute. Play the trumpet only when you face your greatest danger. And while one of you plays, the other has to make up a song, right?" said Annie. "And whatever we sing will come true." "Precisely," said Teddy. What danger will we face in New Orleans?" asked Jack. "Perhaps none," said Teddy, "but keep the magic trumpet with you just in case. And remember, after you have played it, the magic will be gone and it will become an ordinary trumpet." "Got it," said Jack. He took a deep breath. "Okay," said Annie. "Ready?" "Wait," said Jack. "Can you tell us what kind of creative genius we're looking for?" "We can do more than that," said Kathleen with a smile. "We can tell you his name. It is Louis Armstrong." "Louis Armstrong," repeated Jack. He knew that name. "The King of Jazz," said Teddy. "The King of Jazz," said Annie. "Cool." "Yes," said Kathleen, "but Louis Armstrong won't know that when you meet him. It is your job to put him on the right path. To give his gift to the world," said Annie. "Got it." "Good," said Teddy. "And now you shall go." "Right," said Jack. He pointed to the cover of the book. "I wish we could go there," he said, "to New Orleans." "To meet the King of Jazz," said Annie. "Good luck," said Teddy as he and Kathleen waved goodbye. The wind started to blow, the chair started to spin, it spun faster and faster, then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 2, Money Blues. The hot, muggy air was filled with noise. Jack and Annie heard the clippity-clop of horses' hooves. They heard voices calling out, "Crawfish, buttermilk, gumbo for sale here." Jack looked down at he and Annie's clothes. They were both wearing white shirts and dark trousers with suspenders. Jack's backpack had turned into a cloth bag. Neither Jack nor Annie were wearing shoes. "Wow, we're barefoot. That's cool," said Annie. "And at least I can run in these pants. I like them a lot better than the dress I wore on our last mission." "Yeah," said Jack, remembering Annie's long, frilly dress in Vienna and his velvet coat and white wig. "I like being barefoot too," he said. "But what year did we come to exactly? I can't tell from our outfits." Jack and Annie looked out the window. The tree house had landed in a grove of palm trees. Not far away, steamboats churned down the river. Below them was the bustling city Seine. Rows of stores lined both sides of the wide street. Vendors were selling food from carts. Women shoppers wore long skirts, and men wore white suits and hats. Mule carts and horses-drawn buggies bumped alongside a few antiquated-looking cars. Moving down the middle of the street were red and green train cars. Each one was attached to an electric line overhead. "This is definitely a long time ago," said Jack. "But when exactly?" "I can't tell," said Danny. "Maybe our research book can help us," said Jack. "I'll look it up." Louis Armstrong. Jack looked in the index of the history of New Orleans music. He found a chapter on Louis Armstrong. He read, "Born in New Orleans in 1901, Louis Armstrong grew up to be one of the greatest jazz musicians who ever lived." A photo showed an African-American man playing a trumpet. His cheeks were puffed out and his eyelids were closed. Stage lights were shining on him. Thousands of people were in the audience. The composition under the photo read, "Louis Armstrong, King of Jazz." "So what is jazz exactly?" asked Danny. "It's a kind of music," said Jack. "Well, yeah, but what kind?" said Danny. Jack looked up jazz in the glossary of the book. He read, "Jazz began in New Orleans in the early 1900s and was the first played by African Americans. It is a style of music that has a strong beat and is played with lots of feeling. Jazz melodies are often made up on the spot." "Got it," said Danny. "Read more about Louis." Jack flipped back to the page about Louis Armstrong. He read, "As a young teenager, Louis Armstrong often performed with kid bands on the street of the city. Eventually, he played with older musicians in the dance hall and developed his musical talents performing in the Mississippi River boats. When he was 21, he moved to Chicago where—" "Stop, that's all we need," Annie broke in. "It is?" asked Jack. "Yep. We'll just ask someone what the date is," said Annie. "Then we can figure out how old Louis is, and we'll know where to find him. The street, a dance hall, or on the Mississippi River." Annie picked up the magic trumpet. She tucked it under one of her arms and started down the rope ladder. "I guess that's a plan," murmured Jack. "Sort of." He put the New Orleans book in his bag and followed her. In their bare feet, Jack and Annie hurried a short distance to the wide, busy street. A sign read Canal Street. The sidewalks of both sides of the canal street were crowded with vendors pushing carts and shouting in rich, loud voices. "Buttermilk, buttermilk, fresh from the buttermilk man. Bring out your bucket, bring out your can," shouted a man. "Blackberries mighty fine, 3 sacks for a dime," called an old woman. "Read all the news, chase away the blues," sang a boy with newspapers. "Let's buy a paper," Jack said. "It'll tell us the date." Jack and Annie ran over to the boy selling newspapers. "A paper, please," said Annie. "A penny, please," said the boy. Jack and Annie dug into their pockets. "Oh, no, we don't have any money." "No money," said Annie. "Oh, no," said the boy. "No paper." He started to walk away. "Wait, please," said Jack. "Can you tell us the date?" "October 31st, the Eve of All Saints' Day," said the boy. "Did you know that?" Not really," said Jack. "And what year is it?" Annie asked. The boy scowled. "It's 1915. Don't you guys know anything? Who are you?" Before Jack could think of an answer, Annie blurted out, "We're musicians. We came away from Pennsylvania." She held up her trumpet. "Oh, right. And it's a different year in Frog Creek, Pennsylvania than here in New Orleans. I forgot that." The newsboy headed up the street, laughing at his own joke. "Well, yeah," said Annie. Jack laughed. "Okay, Louis Armstrong was born in 1901, so if it's 1915, he's 14 years old," said Annie. "So that means he's playing in kid bands on the street." "Excuse me," she called to the buttermilk man. "Can you tell us where some kid bands might be playing?" "Try Jackson Squares in the French Quarter," said the man. "What's the French Quarter?" asked Jack. "It's the oldest section of the city," said the buttermilk man. "Catch the streetcar that's stopping ahead. It'll take you right there." Thanks, said Danny. She and Jack ran up the sidewalk. So I guess that's the train cars are called streetcars, said Jack. Makes sense, said Danny. Jack and Danny ran up the street. They ran to a streetcar stop. They stood in line and then climbed aboard. Oh, wait, said Jack to Danny. We can't. We don't have any money. He started to leave. Hey, Sonny, are you coming or going? Said the conductor. Sorry, we made a mistake, said Jack. We don't have any money. Don't worry. There's no fare today. It's the Eve of All Saints' Day, said the conductor. Oh, good, said Jack. He and he chose a wooden seat near the door and sat down. Could you tell us when to get out for Jackson Square in the French Quarter? Jack asked the conductor. Sure thing, said the conductor. Annie rested the magic trump on her lap. Lucky for us we came here on the Eve of All Saints' Day, she said to Jack. Yeah, but what does that mean exactly, said Jack. As the streetcar headed up Canal Street, he looked up Eve of All Saints' Day in their book. He read aloud. November 1st is celebrated as All Saints' Day in the New Orleans. It is the day of dawn who honors the ones who have passed away. Sometimes on the Eve of All Saints' Day, people are wearing costumes and have parties and parades. Considered the spookiest night of the year, the Eve of All Saints' Day is a good time for ghost sightings. The Eve of All Saints' Day sounds like Halloween, said Annie. And it's the same day, too. October 31st. Yeah, said Jack. But what does that mean? A good time for ghost sightings. He kept reading. The city of New Orleans is often called the most haunted city in America. According to legend, the old blacksmith shop in Barber Street is haunted by the ghost famous pirate Jean Lafitte. Some say the St. Louis Cathedral is haunted by a Spanish priest, and the hotel on Christie Street is haunted by Confederate soldiers. There have been ghost sightings in many other places throughout the city as well. Oh, sounds scary, said Danny. Huh, said Jack. Well, he slammed the book shut. Forget ghosts. We didn't come to New Orleans to look for ghosts. We came here to look for Louis Armstrong, the king of jazz. Chapter 3, Cold Cart Blues. The streetcar turned onto a crowded, busy street. Lively music from restaurants and dance halls. We're in the French Quarter now, and you're the next stop, said the conductor to Jack and Annie. Head down St. Peter Street toward the Mississippi River. You'll run right into Jackson Square. Thanks. Jack put the research book back in his bag. Annie tucked the trumpet under her arm. When the streetcar came to a stop, they hopped off. Good luck playing the horn, Missy, said the conductor. Thanks, I'll need it, said Danny. The streetcar pulled away. Jack and Annie looked around. Hey, that is Borden Street, said Annie, pointing to a street sign. Isn't that street with the haunted blacksmith shop? Don't think about it, said Jack. Let's head down St. Peter Street. Jack and Annie left Bourbon Street and started down St. Peter Street. They passed a tall, narrow house painted with pale green, yellow, and pink vines. It grew up the walls and twined around iron balconies. Alleys led up to courtyards with trickling fountains. I like the buildings in New Orleans, said Annie. Yeah, and it smells good too, said Jack. Delicious food smells filled the air from a mule-drawn cart. An old woman cried out, Waffles, get your waffles here. Yes, sir, fresh hot waffles. Jack was getting hungry. Outside a restaurant was a sign that read, Special dinner, 10 cents. Gosh, things are really cheap in 1915, said Jack. Too bad we don't even have a dime, said Annie. Yeah. Oh, look, she pointed to the grand cathedral with soaring spires. A cathedral. That must be the place where the ghost of the Spanish priests. Why do you like ghosts so much, said Jack. I don't like ghosts so much, said Annie. Well, why do you keep talking about them, said Jack. I'm just pointing things out, said Annie. You're the one who brought the ghost up in the first place. Well, yeah, let's forget him, said Jack. He didn't like ghosts. He didn't even like thinking about them. Soon Jack and Annie came to a large green park with an iron fence around it. A sign said, the entrance read, Jackson Square. We found it, said Jack. Outside the iron fence in the hot afternoon sunlight, small bands of barefoot kids were playing music. Some strummed banjos, others played harmonicas or long tin horns. 3 boys sang in harmony. A couple of the smallest kids passed through hats collecting money for different bands. Where's Louis Armstrong? Annie asked. No one here looks like the picture in our book. Of course not, said Jack. The picture shows him as grown up. He wouldn't look the same when he was 14. I'll ask it, Annie. She went up to a small girl passing a hat. Excuse me, is there a musician named Louis Armstrong here? Louis Armstrong, you mean Dipper? Asked the girl. I guess, said Annie. Hello, Mac, the girl shouted to the biggest kid in the singing trio. Where's Dipper Armstrong? Just he's at the River Cafe, shouted Little Mac. Where's that? Annie asked. Down by the river, said the small girl. She pointed beyond the square. Walk down Rector Street and you'll see it. The girl held out the hat as if asking for a donation. Sorry, no money, said Jack, but thanks for your help, said Annie. She and Jack left the square. They hurried alongside the Rector Street. So Dipper must be a nickname for Louis Armstrong, said Jack. Yes, said Annie. And Dipper must be playing music in that cafe. There it is, said Jack. He pointed to a red sign on the slanting roof top. River Cafe, coffee and donuts. Donuts, yum, said Annie. Jack and Annie walked under the striped red awning. Waiters in white jackets were running around with trays of coffee and delicious-smelling donuts. Jack's mouth watered. That's funny, there's no music here, said Annie. Excuse me, she called to one of the waiters. Have you seen Louis Armstrong or Dip? Did you come here to buy something, kids? The waiter interrupted rudely. No, we don't have any money, started Jack. Then out, boy, said the waiter. No begging in here. He's not begging, said Annie. We're looking for... I know beggars when I see them. Out, said the waiter. Let's go. I don't think Dipper's in here anyway, said Jack. Wait a minute. I have to tell them we're not beggars, said Annie. It's not worth it, said Jack. Come on. Jack was mad too, but he pulled Annie from under the awning. I think it's the way we look. Our clothes make us look poor, and we don't have any shoes. It's not fair, said Annie. Forget it. We'll ask someone else where to find Dipper, said Jack. On the street by the cafe, the mule cart filled with coal. A young teenager was putting a bucket and shovel into the back of the cart. He was barefoot and wore clothes like Jack and Annie's. Excuse me, Jack called. Do you know where Louis Armstrong or Dipper is? The boy turned. When he saw Jack and Annie, he grinned. He had the friendliest smile Jack had ever seen. Louis Armstrong, he said, that's me. How can I help you, man? Jack was at loss for words. He hadn't thought about what to say to Louis Armstrong when he found him. Hi, Dipper, said Annie, walking up to the boy. We're Jack and Annie from Frog Creek, Pennsylvania. Friends of ours told us to find you when we came to New Orleans. What friends? Asked Dipper. Teddy and Kathleen, said Annie. The boy looked puzzled. Then his gaze fell on Annie's trumpet. Nice horn. Can you play that thing? Only when the time's right, said Annie. And when's that? Asked Dipper. I won't know till I feel it, said Annie. Dipper smiled in his radiant smile. Ha! I know just what you mean, he said. He wiped his hand on his pants and held it out to shake. Any friends of Teddy and Kathleen's are the friends of mine. As Jack shook Dipper's hand, he sputtered. You know Teddy and Kathleen? No, never heard of them, said Dipper. But I consider everybody my friend. Oh, said Annie. She and Jack laughed. Only problem is I can't hang out with you all right now, said Dipper. He climbed into the back of the mule cart. Where are you going, man? Asked Jack. I'm going making my round with this coal cart, said Dipper. And I have lots more work to do today. But be sure to thank me. But be sure to look me up the next time you come to town, and say hi to my pals, Teddy and Kathleen. Dipper waved at them and then shook the reins. Go on, mule, he said. The mule clopped over the brick street, pulling the coal cart away from the river cafe. Louis Armstrong was gone. Chapter 4, Potato Head Blues. What now, said Jack. We have to follow him, said Annie. We can't let him out of our sight. Jack and Annie walked quickly after the mule cart. The hot brick road burned their feet. Ow, 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 they both whispered. So let's figure out, what we're going to say ow to him, said Jack. Simple, said Annie. We'll tell him we'd like to work out with him, and then while we're working, we'll start talking to him about music and put him on the right path to becoming the king of jazz. It wasn't much of a plan, but he couldn't think of anything better. Up ahead, Dipper's mule cart stopped near the back of the candy shop. Hey, Dipper, yelled Annie. Dipper looked over his shoulder. He smiled. What's going on? You all sticking to me like glue, he said. Well, actually, we were wondering, started Jack, if we could work with you, finished Annie. Work with me, said Dipper. I'm just delivering my coal. Yeah, we know. We think it might be fun, said Annie. Dipper laughed. You're all crazy, he said. No, we're not. We just like to work, said Annie. Yeah, we really do, said Jack. Dipper laughed again. Okay, I reckon there's enough work to go around today, he said. There's extra shovels and buckets in the cart. Cool, just tell us what to do, Dipper, said Annie. Fill your buckets with coal and toss each bucket load into the bin, said Dipper. He pointed to 2 loads of Fill your buckets with coal and toss each bucket load into the bin, said Dipper. He pointed to 2 large wooden buckets at the back of the small candy shop. 12 bucket loads should do it. Got it, said Annie. Annie carefully set the magic trumpet on the ground beside it. Dipper handed each of them a heavy shovel and a tin bucket from the back of the cart. Then all 3 of them started shoveling coal. Dipper whistled and worked quickly. But Jack and Annie had a hard time handling their heavy shovels. Whenever the shovels tipped on to the side, all the coal fell off. Finally, they both just grabbed pieces of coal with their hands and tossed them into the bucket. The afternoon sun beat on Jack's back as he worked. He was sweaty and short of breath. His hands were black from picking up the coal, and his clothes were covered with coal dust. This is a terrible job, he thought. He wondered how Dipper could be so cheerful. So, Dipper, said Annie, do you like music? Dipper's answer was drowned out as he dumped a load of coal into the bin. What do you say? Jack called to Dipper. Dipper answered again, but Jack didn't hear him because a buggy rumbled by. This is a bad time for a serious discussion, thought Jack. He could hardly think of the burning sun. As Dipper shoveled more coal, he started singing a song that seemed to give words to how Jack felt. I've got those coal cart blues, and I'm really all confused. I'm about to lose my very mind. But Dipper didn't seem all confused or about to lose his mind. He had a warm, raspy voice, and his song had a lively beat. Dipper, Dipper, Dipper! Some kids called it. Dipper stopped singing. 3 boys were running toward the cart. They were all singing. They were the singing trio Jack and Annie had seen on Jackson Square. I know you're working, said one of the kids, but quit early today, Dipper. We just got a gig to sing the parade. Sorry, can't do it, Little Mac, said Dipper. Little Mac wasn't exactly little, Jack noticed. He looked like he weighed over 200 pounds. Come on, Dipper, said another boy. Gotta work, Happy, said Dipper. Ah, Dipper, said Happy. He didn't look happy at all. Come on, Dipper, said the third boy. Can't do it, Big Nose, said Dipper. Jack looked at Big Nose's nose. It was really that quite small. Ah, said Happy again. Sounds just fine. You all just sound just fine by yourselves, said Dipper. Go on to the parade and have fun. But Big Nose began. Listen, said Dipper. Since Snub, I've delivered five cartloads of coal. I get paid 15 cents a load. That makes 75. I'm going to take home to my family tonight. How much did you fellas make in the square today? How much you gonna make in the parade? The three boys were silent. I've got a steady job now, said Dipper. You don't need me. You go on to the parade and have a good time. The 3 boys stared at Dipper for a long moment. Come on, fellas, said Little Max, said finally. Let him be. Ever since he got out from the waif zone, he's turned into Mama's boy. Jack wondered what the waif's home was. Dipper watched the 3 boys walk off. Then he looked at Jack and Annie. Little Mac, Happy, and Big Nose Cindy are old buddies of mine, he explained with a sigh. We used to have a quartet. We sang every word together. Dipper, can't you take a little time off and go with your buddies to sing in the parade, asked Annie. Nope, said Dipper, that's the way it has to be. Dipper went back to the shoveling coal. Jack wanted to ask him about the waif's home, but Dipper didn't look like he wanted to talk. He didn't sing anyone anymore as he filled his coal bucket. If Dipper doesn't perform, he'll never grow up to be the king of jazz, Jack thought. He'll never give his gifts to the world. Finally, Annie broke the silence. Dipper, do you have to support your family all by yourself? You're pretty young aren't you? I'm not young. I'm 14, said Dipper. Mama Lucy, Man, and baby Clarence are all dependent on me. Is that your family? Asked Jack. Yep, and I love them a lot, said Dipper. I understand, said Annie. Me too, said Jack. But what about giving your gifts to the world? Dipper laughed. I can't afford gifts for Lady, the mule. How am I going to afford the gifts for the world? How about what about your musical gifts? Asked Jack. Okay, good idea. I'll sing a song to Lady on your birthday, he said. Let's go now. Dipper tossed the shovel into his bucket. Then he reached into his pocket and took out some change. Tomorrow I'll be getting paid 15 cents for this load, he said. In case I don't see you again, here's your share. 5 cents for you and 5 for you. No, you keep it, said Annie. You need it all for your family. What? That's not the right thing, said Dipper. It is right, said Jack. Then what'd you all do that work for? Asked Dipper. We didn't do that much, said Annie. Not nearly as much as you did. It was a lot harder job than I thought. Then why'd you all keep working? Asked Dipper. It was fun hanging out with you, said Annie. Dipper laughed. Well, then you two sure are a couple of potato heads, he said. What's that mean? Asked Annie. It means you don't have more brains than a pair of potatoes, said Dipper. Jack and Annie just laughed. Sure you won't take the money, said Dipper. Absolutely, said Annie. Well, thanks a million for your help, said Dipper. He climbed into the back of the driver's seat of the cart. Hey, want me and Lady to give you all a ride back to the coal yard? Yes, said Jack and Annie together. Good, climb on, said Dipper. Thanks, man, said Jack. Annie grabbed the trumpet, Jack grabbed his bag, and they sat on the cart bench next to Dipper. Jack was still hot and sweaty, and he was tired. His arms were sore, but for some reason he felt good. "Let's go, Lady," said Dipper. Lady the mule began pulling the creaky cart along the Mississippi River, and Dipper began singing again. "I've got those coal cart blues, and I'm really all confused." Chapter 5, Go On, Mule. The sky had grown cloudy, and a warm breeze was blowing. Dipper stopped the cart and listened. "Hear that?" he said. "Parade's coming this way." Jack heard band music in the distance. Is that parade for All Saints' Day?" asked Danny. "Maybe, or for a million other things," said Dipper. "Folks in the city will find an excuse for a parade." Soon the parade came into view. Horseback riders wore plumed hats and black masks. Following them were people dressed up as clowns, queens, kings, fairies, and fluttering wings, ghosts and skeletons. "We read that New Orleans might be the most haunted city in the country," Annie said to Dipper, "especially on Eve of All Saints' Day. We heard that real ghosts are in the cathedral, a hotel, and a blacksmith shop." "Yeah, and plenty other more places too," said Dipper. "But I'm not afraid of ghosts. I'm not afraid of anything." "Me neither," said Annie. Me neither," said Jack. A band followed the people in costumes. The musicians played trumpets, tumbas, trombones, and drums, lots of drums. The joyful music filled the New Orleans air. Jack and Annie couldn't help nodding their heads in time to the beat of the drum. Jack noticed that Dipper was nodding his head too. "Hey, there's the fellas," said Annie. Happy, Little Mac, and Big Nose Sidney were all walking alongside the band, singing their hearts out. "Looks like they're having fun," said Annie. She nudged Jack. "Does it?" "Yeah," said Jack. "A lot of fun. Music is so much fun. I wish I had musical talent." "You're so lucky, Dipper. You really are," said Annie. "Musical talent is really a great gift to share with the world." Dipper just shook his head as if he thought they were crazy. "Biggest potato heads I've ever met," he said. Jack and Annie laughed. Dipper gave the reins a shake. "Go on, lady. Keep me on the right path." That's so weird that Dipper said that, thought Jack. Their mission was to keep him on the right path to giving gifts to the world. As Lady plodded along the bank of the Mississippi, Dipper started singing nonsense words. "Skedaty-dat, skedaty-doo." "That sounds so cool," said Jack. "What song is that?" "It's not a song. I'm just scat singing," said Dipper. "Scat singing?" said Annie. "What's that?" "When you can't think of words, just sing sounds," said Dipper. "Make 'em up. If you put your hearts into it, folks will understand ya." "I didn't know a person could make music like that," said Jack. "Heck yeah, you can make music any way you want," said Dipper. "Just listen to the world. You can hear the church bells, the washerman singing about her wash, the ragman blasting his tin horn for folks to bring their rags. Folks are selling things like the pie man. Listen to him." Dipper pointed to the man sitting in the red wagon, calling out in a strong witch voice, sweet potato pie, lemon pie, apple pie, any pie you like." "Listen to that voice," said Dipper. "That's music, and listen to those sounds." Dipper pointed to some women walking beside the road. The women carried baskets on their heads and called out in sing-song voices, "Blueberries, raspberries, blackberries." "I see what you mean," said Annie. "Music is everywhere." "You got it, girl," said Dipper. "You can even hear it in ladies' hoofbeats. Listen." Jack listened to the rhythm of clippity-clop of the mule. "Say, there you go," said Dipper. That's a song. Go on, mule, go on, mule. Jack and Annie listened to the steady music of the lady's hoofbeats until finally the mule came to a stop. Well, here we are at the coal yard, said Dipper. I'll leave Lady here till tomorrow. They all jumped out to the ground. Thanks for your music, Lady. Dipper patted the mule on the nose. Then he turned to Jack and Annie. Afraid I have to leave you all now, Dipper said, but it was great. It's been great. Jack began, trying to think of a good reason to stay with Dipper. I'd like to hear you blow that horn when the time's right, Dipper said to Annie. And don't forget to say hi to Teddy and Kathleen for me. He winked and waved and started walking away. But Dipper, called Jack. Sorry, man, I'm late, Dipper shouted over his shoulder. Thanks a million, he waved again and kept going. Jack and Annie looked at each other in a panic. We have to stay with him, said Annie. Wait, Dipper. She and Jack ran after him. Where are you going now, asked Jack. My next job, said Dipper. I have to haul bananas till dark. Really? Another job, said Jack. Hey, guess what, shouted Annie. We love to haul bananas. Yeah, we do, said Jack. Dipper stopped and stared at them. What is wrong with y'all? He said. Don't you know how to have fun? Jack didn't know what to say. Seriously, we love to haul bananas. And you make everything more fun with your singing. Yeah, you're a good singer, piped up Jack. That's a gift. Dipper just shook his head. Remember when I said you don't have any more brains than a pair of potatoes? Well, I take that back. I don't think you have one potato's brain between you. Jack and Annie laughed. Well, come on then, said Dipper. Jack and Annie hurried with Dipper down to the loading dock on the river raft. At least 50 workers were hauling huge loads of bananas on their cargo to the cargo hold of the ship. Wait here, Dipper told them. Dipper walked over to a man checking people in to work. He pointed to Jack and Annie. The man shrugged and nodded. Dipper waved for them to come join him. Jack and Annie ran down and joined Dipper and the other workers in the cargo hold. Dipper picked up a giant load of bananas. The bunch was almost as big as Annie. He held it onto his shoulder, then picked up another one. Grab a bunch and follow me, Dipper said. He headed to the counter where men in white suits were inspecting the banana bunches. No way either of us could pick up one of those bunches, Jack said to Annie. Let's try it together, said Annie. Annie hid the trumpet behind a large wooden box. Jack put his bag there too. Jack and Annie loaded a bunch of bananas onto their arms. They walked closely together, taking short, clumsy steps following Dipper. They delivered their bunches to the inspector and then hurried back to get another. As the sun sank toward the river, Jack and Annie and Dipper hauled bananas back and forth between the cargo hold and the inspectors. They hauled bananas until it was almost dark. Jack was so tired he could hardly see straight. He was afraid Dipper would never call it quits. Last one, Dipper said finally. Yes, thought Jack. He grabbed their last load. Suddenly, a large rat jumped out of the cargo hold. Dipper let out a scream. He dropped his bananas and took off running. Jack and Annie dropped their bananas too. Jack and Annie grabbed the trumpet and Jack grabbed his bag and they ran after Dipper. Running like crazy, Dipper led Jack and Annie far from the loading area and the rat. When he finally stopped, Jack bumped into Dipper and Annie bumped into Jack. They all started laughing. Dipper laughed the hardest. He collapsed onto the curb of the tree and laughed so hard his whole body shook. Jack and Annie sat down next to him, laughing until they cried. Finally, they all managed to calm down. I know I said I wasn't afraid of anything, Dipper said breathlessly, but I lied. I'm afraid of one thing, rats. Rats give me the heebie-jeebies. Yeah, said Annie, catching her breath. I know how you feel. Spiders give me the heebie-jeebies. Yeah, said Jack, panting. Actually, ghosts give me to... That's cool, man, said Dipper. Between the three of us, we got all the scaredy stuff covered. That made them all start laughing again. As the twilight deepened, they sat on the curb and catch their breath. They laughed now and then between relief and friendship. Then Dipper stood up. "Before we part ways, I better get our pay for the boss." "Hold on." Jack and Annie kept sitting on the curb as Dipper ran back down to the dock. "Part ways? We can't part ways yet," said Jack. "I know," said Annie. "We haven't even begun to accomplish our mission." "Umbrella, buy an umbrella," a man shouted as he walked by. He carried a load of umbrellas on his back. "Storm's coming, big storm's coming for the evil All Saints' Day." "Oh no, now a storm's coming," said Jack. He was confused what they should do next. A moment later, Dipper returned. 30 cents, he said. "We each get 10. No, Dipper, said Annie. "Please, use it to take care of your family." "Yeah, do that," said Jack. We insist it, said Annie. Dipper smiled. "Oh, you do you?" "Yeah, why? What's that game you all playing?" "It's no game," said Jack. "We're just a couple of potato heads," said Annie. "Get used to it." "Well then, you two potato heads, come along. Let me give you something else," said Dipper. "Come along with me." "Great," said Jack. They weren't parting ways yet. He and Annie jumped in front of the curb and bounded off with Dipper. Chapter 6. Find Me at the Greasy Spoon. Street lamps were coming on as Jack and Annie walked with Dipper away from the Jackson Square. When they came to the Bourbon Street, vendors walked the sidewalks calling out, "Ice cream, lemon pie, ham biscuits." Sounds good," said Annie. "There seems to be a lot of good food in New Orleans." "Best in the world," said Dipper. People were sitting outside dance halls and restaurants, laughing and talking, eating and drinking. Outside and inside, musicians were blaring away on their instruments. "Hey, there's Dipper! Sing something for us. Dipper!" the ice cream lady yelled. Dipper waved and kept going. "Hey, girl, can you play that trumpet?" a man called at Annie. "Not when the time's right," Annie shouted. When's that?" asked the man. "She'll know when she feels it," said Dipper. At the end of the block, under a street lamp, a trio was singing a harmony. It was Little Mac, Happy, and Big Nose Sydney. "Look, Dipper, it's your friends again," Annie said. "I see him," said Dipper, but he ignored the three boys as he crossed the street. Dipper led Jack and Annie down a narrow alley at the back of the shabby, run-down building. Good cookie smells came from inside. "Y'all wait me outside the Greasy Spoon," he said, and he slipped through the door. "What's a Greasy Spoon?" asked Annie. "Smells like it must be a restaurant," said Jack. Annie put down the trumpet. Jack put down his bag. They sat on the back steps of the Greasy Spoon. While they waited in the muggy twilight for Dipper, Jack wiped his forehead. He was starving and ached all over. Soon Dipper pushed open the back door with his foot. He was carrying a big bowl and a tall glass. "I got us some jumbo stew and some lemonade to share," he said. "Talk about good." "Oh, thanks, man," said Jack. Dipper sat between Jack and Annie on the steps. He pulled spoons out of his pocket for each of them. "Dig y'all in," he said. Together, the three of them tackled the gumbo stew. They all ate their fill of spicy chicken, ham, tomatoes, okra, onions, and rice. When the bowl was empty, they shared the tall glass of lemonade. When they sat back on the steps and heaved a big sigh, Jack felt stuffed and happy. "Mighty fine," breathed Dipper. "Mighty fine," echoed Jack. "Mighty fine," said Annie. Nothing tastes as good as gumbo after a hard day's work," said Dipper. He stood up. "Well, I have to leave you all now. Thanks a million for your help today, and don't forget to thank Teddy and Kathleen for sending you all to find me. Before Jack and Annie could stop him, Dipper climbed down from the steps and vanished into the dark. Dipper called Jack. There was no answer. He's gone again, said Annie. We have totally failed in our mission for Moreland, said Jack. We didn't help Dipper get on the right path to giving his gifts to the world. I know. We have to go with him. Come on, said Annie. She hopped up and headed after Dipper. Wait, the trumpet, said Jack. He grabbed the magic trumpet in his bag and followed her. When Jack left the steps, it was too dark for him to see where Annie had gone. The thunder rumbled in the distance. The air felt heavy and thick as if a storm would break at any moment. Annie, Jack called. Here, Annie called back from the back of the restaurant. Jack joined her. Together, they peeked through a window. They looked into a large kitchen. Dipper was alone, washing a mountain of dishes. Why is he doing that? Whispered Jack. Hey, Dipper, said Annie. Dipper turned and smiled. You caught me, he said. He looked embarrassed. Why are you washing dishes? Asked Annie. Dipper shrugged. Gotta pay for our dinner somehow, he said. We'll help you, said Annie. We love washing dishes, said Jack. Dipper laughed. Then come in, potato heads, he said. I could use some help. Jack and Annie slipped through the side door into a hot, steamy kitchen. Jack put down his bag and the trumpet. He and Annie picked up a dirty plate from the counter. They began scrapping leftovers into a garbage pail. They scraped fish heads, oyster shells, crab legs, shrimp tails, chicken bones, grease, and gravy off dozens of plates. The work was messy and smelly, but Jack and Annie worked hard to keep up with Dipper. Every time he took a plate from them, he smiled and said, "Thank you." He never frowned or complained or even seemed tired. "Dipper," said Annie while they worked, "your life seems really hard. How do you stay so cheerful?" "Why not? It's more fun to be cheerful than sad," he said. "Don't you ever feel like getting mad or complaining about stuff?" said Jack. "Sure I do. I'm human," said Dipper. "I feel all kinds of things. All day long I feel things. You could say I have a rich life, but I might not get to have everything, but I get to feel everything." He laughed. "I'm the same way," said Annie. "I thought so," said Dipper. "That's why I sure would like you here to play sometime to play that trumpet." "Maybe you will," said Annie. By the time they finished washing dishes, rain was falling outside. Where to now?" said Jack. "One more treat for you all," said Dipper. "Let's leave the greasy spoon in it and head back down to the river river cafe for dessert. Come on." "We'd better not," said Jack. "The waiters there don't like us." "Don't worry about them," said Dipper. "You're with me now." Jack and Annie followed Dipper outside into the rain. The wind was blowing harder now. "Uh-oh," said Dipper. "Here comes a storm. Let's hurry." Thunder cracked and rain began to pour down. The three of them got soaked as they hurried through the alley back to Bourbon Street. The street was empty now. Party-goers and street musicians had fled from the storm. The restaurants and cafes had taken their chairs and tables inside. Lights lit the sky and thunder shook the ground. The wind was blowing hard, picking up sticks and leaves and trash. "We have to find cover," said Dipper. "Run!" He and Jack and Annie bowed their heads against the downpour and ran up Bourbon Street. "Dipper, over here, man!" someone yelled. It was Little Mac. Little Mac, Cappy, and Big Nose Sidney were all waving to Dipper from a doorway of a dark building on the corner. Dipper, Jack, and Annie ran across the street through the pounding rain. "Get over here! Out of the street!" shouted Little Mac, "before you get hit by lightning." Thanks, fellas, said Dipper. Soaking wet, Jack, Annie, Dipper, Little Mac, Happy, and Big Nose Sydney all crowded together. Jack just inside the dark building looking at the storm. Who lives here? Asked Dipper. Nobody. It's empty. It's been empty for years, said Happy. Used to be a blacksmith shop, said Little Mac. Lafitte's blacksmith shop, said Jack. He immediately stepped out of the shop and stood under the eaves. Hey, what's wrong with that? Asked Little Mac. We read this place is haunted, said Annie. Y'all believe in ghosts, said Little Mac. No, not really, said Jack. But I thought you said I thought you said they gave you the heebie, started Dipper. No, I was kidding, Jack said quickly. He didn't want Dipper's friends to know that he was afraid of ghosts. Lightning split the sky again. Another crash of thunder shattered the night. The wind blew so hard that shingles flew off the roof across the street and crashed to the sidewalk. Whoa! Come inside, man. You gotta get close. We gotta close the door, Dipper said to Jack. Hold on, said Little Mac. We have to go. We do? Asked Happy. Little Mac whispered something to Happy and Big Nose Sydney. Oh yeah, he's right, said Happy. We have to leave. We'll see y'all later. Y'all are scared to stay here, aren't you? Said Dipper. No, man, we forgot. We have an important gig to play, said Big Nose Sydney. Oh, suddenly y'all have an important gig? I see, said Dipper. Yeah, we'll have to try to make it through the storm. See y'all. Come on, fellas, said Little Mac. The three boys hurried out of the blacksmith shop and turned the corner. They left because they're scaredy cats, said Dipper, chuckling. Yeah, said Jack, scaredy cats. Thunder cracked the sky again, the loudest crack so far. It seemed to shake the whole block. Roofs, shingles flew through the air. Come back inside, said Dipper. It's dangerous out there. Jack took a deep breath and stepped back into the Lafitte's blacksmith shop. Chapter 7. Skedat-Dedat. Dipper closed the door. It was pitch black inside the shop. As the wind howled outside, the broken shutters banged against the brick walls. A gust of damp air blew through the windows. It's dark in here, said Annie, and cold. It's creepy, said Jack. Yep, said Dipper. Let's leave. I've changed my mind about staying here. We can find some other place to get out of the storm. Good idea, said Annie. Great idea, said Jack. Jack heard Dipper rattling the door handle. Uh-oh, she said. Uh-oh, what, said Jack. Won't open, said Dipper. It's stuck. Jack felt his hair rise on the back of his neck. The shutters banged in the wind. Hold on a second. I've got some matches in my pocket, said Dipper. I just hope they didn't get wet in the rain. Jack heard Dipper trying to strike a match. He tried 1, 2, 3 times. Then he held up a small flame. Yay, breathed Annie. Jack looked around the room. In the dancing light, he could make out wooden buckets on the floor, a couple of broken chairs, and a doorway leading to the back room, and squeak, a black bat flat above their heads. Ah! Jack, Annie, and Dipper ducked. The match went out. Dipper quickly lit another one. He held it up high, trying to light the room. Jack didn't see the bat, but he saw a brick oven, bricks over the fireplace, some rusty lanterns, and lots of spider webs. Thanks, said Annie. The match went out. Help, Annie said in a small voice. More light, please. Nobody panic. Said Dipper. I've got 2 matches left. Just 2, said Annie. Hey, I thought I saw some lanterns, said Jack, near the fireplace. Maybe we could light them. Good idea, said Dipper. Maybe there's oil still in them. I hope I just hope I can light the wicks, or we'll be left in the dark with the bats. And spiders, said Annie. And ghosts, thought Jack. Dipper struck the next to last match. He held it up to find the lanterns. Over there, said Jack, pointing. I see, said Dipper, but as he knelt on the floor, the match went out. I've just got one more, he whispered. So we better be real careful. Dipper lit his last match. Jack slowly lifted the glass on both the lanterns. He very carefully, Dipper touched the match. The match touched the match flame to the wick of the first lantern. The wick sputtered and flickered to life. A yellow glow filled the room. Ah, said Dipper. He lit a second lantern. Beautiful. You can each carry one. Jack picked up one of the lanterns and he put the firelight case. Eerie shadows danced on the walls. Scream! A sound of the back door startled them. It sounded like a creak of a door opening. Jack's heart began to pound. Wham! The sound of the door slammed. Jack's heart beat faster and faster. Hey, called Dipper. Who's back there? No one answered. Clump, clump, clump. The sound of footsteps on the stairs. Jack held his breath. Who's there? Yelled Dipper. Woo! Show yourself, yelled Dipper. The shutters outside banged harder against the walls. Woo! Mercy, whispered Dipper. Jack's hand trembled, shaking the lantern and making the shadows in the room dance even more wildly. The moaning came again. Ooh. Annie, said Jack. The trumpet. The time is right. I know, I feel it, said Annie. She put down the lantern and grabbed the trumpet. Sing, Jack. Annie lifted to the trumpet to her lips and blew. A pure, smooth sound flowed from the trumpet and filled the room. As Annie played, Jack started singing. Ghost, ghost, leave us alone. Stop, stop, stop your moaning. What a stupid song, thought Jack. But they were the only words that came to his mind. Then he remembered Dipper's advice. When you can't think of words, just sing sounds. Make them up. Put your heart into it. So Jack started singing nonsense words. He sang with all his heart, pouring all his feelings into the sounds, telling the ghost to leave. Skidatti-dat, skidatti-dow, skiddle, skiddle, daddle, daddle, out of here now! Thumping noises came from the other room, as if heavy things were falling. Who's there? Shouted Dipper. Annie stopped playing. Jack stepped back in fear, waiting for something awful to happen. Then he heard laughing and whispering. Hey, shouted Dipper. He picked up Annie's lantern and headed into the other room. Jack and Annie followed. Little Mac, Happy, and Big Nose Sydney were crawling toward the door. Stop, yelled Dipper. What are you all doing here? The three boys all talked at once. We fell out of the attic. It felt like something was pushing us out. Yeah, then down the stairs and toward the door. Jack's song pushed you down the stairs, said Annie, laughing. He ordered the ghost to leave. His singing was magic. Your playing was magic too, Dipper said to Annie. You two really put your hearts into it. Thanks, said Jack. Dipper looked down at Little Mac. Now tell us what you three folks were up to, he said. We decided to play a joke on you all, said Little Mac. So we snuck in through the back door and up to the attic. We thought you left because you were scared of ghosts, said Annie. Heck no, man, said Little Mac. We're not afraid of ghosts, said Happy. Not even a little bit, said Big Nose Sydney. Suddenly, a cold wind blasted through the room. The lanterns flickered out. An eerie green light filled the blacksmith shop. What? A voice roared. Not afraid of ghosts? The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Ah! The kids all screamed together. Ha, 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 ha. Mean sounding laughter echoed through the shop. It grew louder and louder. Ha, 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 ha! Ah! The kids all screamed again. Stomping noises thundered on the attic. Everyone shrieked and froze with terror. Down from the attic came a pirate. His face was hidden by the brim of a black hat. He wore a gray jacket with double rows of buttons, a red sash, and dark pants tucked inside the black boots. The pirate looked like a real person, except you could see right through him. Chapter 8, Heebie-Jeebies. Thunder shook the night. The wind howled. The pirate ghost floated down the stairs. The ghost of Jean Lafitte, whispered Annie. The ghost pointed a bony finger at Happy. Not afraid of ghosts? His voice boomed again. He pointed at Big Nose City. Not even a little bit? Ha, 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 ha. Ah! Everyone shrieked again. They all scrambled out of the back room to the front door. They pushed on the front door together, but the store wouldn't open. Scurvy dogs, you cannot escape me, the ghost of Jean Lafitte shouted. The pirate ghost floated to the center of the room and stopped. He rested his hands on his hips and threw back his head and laughed. You're trapped now, Jean Lafitte roared. Trapped here forever. To Jack's horror, more ghost pirates began gliding through the wall into the room. One at a time they came. A pirate with a gold earring, another with a pistol, one with a headscarf, another with an eye patch, one with a saber, another with a bushy beard, and one with a thin mustache, another with a sack, one with a striped shirt, another with a peg leg. Finally, 10 ghost pirates circled the room. From the center of the circle, Jean Lafitte let out another mean laughter. Ha! Ha, 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 ha. The pirate crew snorted and snarled and growled. You're our girl. Suddenly, Jack started singing. Skittles, daddle, dog. Hey, hey, ghost, go away, go away, go away. Jack, said Annie, what are you doing? Play, Annie, play, squeaked Jack. I can't, said Annie. We used up the magic. It's just an ordinary trumpet now. Here, give it to me, said Dipper. Annie handed Dipper the trumpet. Dipper put the trumpet to his lips and closed his eyes. He took a deep breath and then blew. The air vibrated with a single warm note. Then Dipper's fingers danced over the trumpet's valves as lively swinging tune filled the blacksmith shop. Jean Lafitte stopped laughing his mean laugh. He held up his hand and his crew to be silent. As Dipper played, crooked smiles crossed the pirates' faces. Dipper's joyful music drowned out the noise of the storm outside. Annie snatched 2 rungs from the broken chair. She used them as drumsticks, tapping them against the wooden bucket. Jack grabbed 2 more rungs and did the same. Dipper paused long enough to yell to his trio. Hey boys, sing the Heebie-Jeebie song. We don't know it, said Little Mac. Make something up, called Dipper. As Dipper played the trumpet, Little Mac sang, I've got these heebie-jeebies. Then Happy sang, I make you hop, and the heebie-jeebies make you quake. Then Big Nose sang, do a little dance, Mama. Stop the shake. As the trio sang, the ghost of John Lafitte started dancing. He shook his head and clapped his hands. He waved his arms in the air. He turned in a circle. Go, Mama, go, he shouted. Lafitte's crew began dancing like their captain. All the ghost pirates moved in a circle, shaking their heads and waving their hands. Some floated off the floor, turning this way and that, like Lil Mac sang, Hey, Papa, hey, Mama, hey, 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 all the pirates shouted. Hey, hey, hey! Dipper played the trumpet. Jack and Annie drummed on the buckets. The trio sang. The floor shook, the windows rattled, and the pirates stomped and shook, doing the heebie-jeebie dance. Swing that music! Shouted Jean Lafitte's ghost. Yar! All the pirates shouted. Yar, yar! The front door suddenly banged open. Go, Mama, go, go, go! Shouted the ghost of John Lafitte. They danced out of the shop and his pirate crew followed one by one. As the ghosts all danced out of the shop, Dipper kept playing, the trio kept singing, and the Jack and Annie kept drumming. My crew and I sure enjoyed your visit, the pirate ghost captain shouted back to Dipper and the others. Be sure to come back same time next year. The ghost of John Lafitte turned and waved his arms in the air. Come on, boys, Papa's doing the heebie-jeebies dance. Then, doing the heebie-jeebies dance, all the pirates' ghosts danced away from the dark New Orleans night. Chapter 9, Working Man Blues. Dipper stopped playing, the three boys stopped singing, Jack and Annie stopped drumming. There was silence. They all crept to the open doorway. They stepped outside. The rain had stopped and the wind had died down. The air felt clean and cool. Stars shone overhead. The pirate ghosts were gone. Whoa, that was something, said Lil Mac. What just happened? Was it a dream? Asked Big Nose Sydney. Were those ghosts real? I don't know, said Dipper, but I'll tell you this. You'll never ever get me back into that shop again. Everyone laughed. Even Happy seemed happy. Hey, Dipper, how'd you get so good at playing that horn? He asked, grinning. I practiced for 2 years in the Waif's home, said Dipper. That's how. How do you blow that horn while we sing? Said Big Nose Sydney. You go to blow the horn while we sing, said Big Nose Sydney. Come with us. Now, we really have to do an important gig on the riverboat. A riverboat, said Jack and Annie together. They looked at each other. The research book had said Louis Armstrong developed the musical challenge performing on riverboats. That's right, said Lil Mac. Oh, wow, Dipper, you have to go with them, said Annie. Yeah, man, said Jack, but Dipper just shook his head. Sorry, folks, but I can't play tonight. I have to get up early in the morning to haul coal. Ah, Dipper, said Lil Mac. Ah, Dipper, said Jack. Don't y'all worry all about me, said Dipper. Have a good time on the boat, fellas. Hang on to that smile, Happy. I'll try, said Happy. See you later, said Big Nose Sydney. So long to y'all, Lil Mac said to Jack and Annie. Bye, said Jack. Good luck with your gig, said Annie. The three boys waved and took off. Dipper looked after them for a long moment and he turned to Jack and Annie. Here's your horn back, he said. Thanks for letting me play it. He handed the trumpet to Annie. Do you want to keep it, she said. No thanks, I have my own horn back at my house. A cornet they gave me at the Waif's home, said Dipper. Someday when I'm grown up, maybe I'll bring it out again. I think you should have gone with the fellas. Dipper, said Jack, to share your musical gifts. I know, said Dipper, to share my musical gifts with the world. He shook his head as if he were shaking off the thought. Then he beamed a big smile at Jack and Annie. Hey, weren't we talking about desserts a little while back? That's a gig I can get behind and still get a gig some sleep. Come on. As Dipper led Jack and Annie down the rain-slick street, the wet sidewalks glistened like silver. Life had returned to the French Quarter. Horses and mules splashed through the puddles. Street lamps were burned brightly outside dance halls and restaurants. Waiters carried tables and trays back outside. When Dipper, Jack, and Annie came to Jackson Square, they found kids playing music again. A band was playing a song Jack knew. When the Saints Go Marching In, a few people in costumes were wandering around. Dipper led Jack and Annie to the back door of the River Cafe. The cook here is a friend of mine. Don't worry about the waiters, he said with a wink. Be back in a minute. He slipped into the cafe kitchen. As Jack and Annie waited for Dipper, they could hear the jazz music coming from the square. Oh, when the Saints go marching in. Oh, when the Saints go marching in. Teddy was right. I love New Orleans, said Annie. Me too, said Jack. But how are we ever going to accomplish our mission for Merlin? Dipper seems like he's never going to change his mind about his music. I know, said Annie. In fact, I was thinking we might have to do something really strict. What's that? Said Jack. Show on our research book, said Annie. Whoa, said Jack. Do you think... Before Jack could finish, Dipper came back outside. Talk about something good, he said. He clutched a greasy napkin filled with fresh made donuts. Follow me. As Jack and Annie followed Dipper to the river, Jack's mind raced. Should they show Dipper to the research book? It would prove they come from the future. What would Dipper say? What would he think? Well, it's too weird, thought Jack. Let's just try to talk to him first, Jack whispered to Annie. She nodded. Dipper led them to the bench near the water. Jack and Annie sat on the wet wood on either side of him. Dipper unwrapped the donuts and handed one to Jack and Annie and kept one for himself. Careful, said Dipper. The sugar will get all over y'all. Jack lifted the warm, sticky donut to his mouth and took a big bite. Powdered sugar, flour, butter, vanilla, all melted in his mouth. It was mighty good. Nobody talked that they ate all their donuts. When they finished, they all wiped their sticky fingers on their shirts and pants. By now, Jack's clothes were soaked with rainwater, coal dust, chicken grease, sweat, and grime. A little powder and sugar and butter won't make a bit of difference, he thought. So Dipper, said Annie, you know you're a really great musician, you know? Dipper smiled at her. Actually, you're a creative genius, Jack added. Dipper laughed out loud. And you all know who you are, don't you? Yep, the biggest potato head you've ever met, finished Jack. But this time we're right, said Annie. Nope, sorry, said Dipper. I'm definitely no genius. The truth is I've never got past elementary school. I don't even know how to read music. But don't you love playing music? Asked Annie. Yeah, sure, I do. Somehow I've got music in my bones, said Dipper. Sad to say, all I really ever wanted to do is blow my horn. Then why don't you? Said Jack. He felt desperate. Even without their mission for Merlin, it seemed incredibly sad that Dipper had turned his back on his music. Yeah, why don't you go back play on the river boat with your fellas? Said Annie. It won't hurt you to miss a few hours of sleep. Dipper took a deep breath and let it out slowly. When I was 12 years old, I got too rowdy one time, he said. On New Year's Eve, I was singing with the fellas. and I got carried away, fired off a gun, just into the air. I wasn't trying to hurt anybody, but I got caught and I got sent to the waves home. I just got out a little while ago. I feel really bad for letting down my family like that. So right now, all I want to do is help keep them a steady job. Just what about a job playing music, said Jack. Great musicians make a lot of money and help their families. Not playing the music I want to play, said Dipper. At least I haven't met any. Have you? Yes, actually, we have, said Annie. She turned to and looked at Jack. We have to do it. Jack sighed and nodded slowly. Annie was right. He pulled the research book out of his bag and pulled out their research book, A History of New Orleans Music. Chapter 10, Thanks a Million. Jack pushed his glasses into place and looked out and opened the history book of New Orleans music. What's that man? Dipper asked. It's a history book, said Jack. Teddy and Kathleen gave it to us, said Annie. Oh yeah, my best friend, said Dipper. Jack looked in the index of the book. He found the right page and turned to it. I'm going to read you something to you, man, said Jack. Just listen. Jack read it. As a young teenager, Louis Armstrong often performed with kid bands on the streets of the city. Eventually, he played with older musicians in dance halls, and he developed his musician's talents performers on the Mississippi riverboats. When he was 21, he moved to Chicago, where they played in the well-known band of his old friend, Joe Oliver. Joe Oliver, said Dipper. Joe's in that book? I'm in that book? Yep. Hold on, there's more, said Jack. He read. Over time, Louis Armstrong became world famous, but he always called New Orleans home. The city honored him by naming a large park the Louis Armstrong Park. It also named its airport for Louis Armstrong Airport. What's that? International Airport, asked Dipper. That's where planes fly in and out from all over the world, said Annie. Dipper started laughing. Y'all are pulling my leg. No, said Jack. We're not. Look at this, Dipper. He held up the book to show Dipper the picture of Louis Armstrong, the king of jazz, playing the trumpet in front of a huge crowd. That's you, Dipper. Jack waited for Dipper to laugh and say the picture wasn't him, but Dipper stopped smiling and nodded. Yeah, I've seen that picture before, he said softly. You have, said Jack, stunned. You've seen this picture before, said Annie. Where? Here. Dipper touched his chest. Here to my heart. It's the picture I've had in my heart for a long time. It's a dream, like a dream. Hey, y'all, is this a dream? Jack and Annie laughed. Annie smiled. Yes, you could say that, she said, but it's a true dream, said Jack. Keep the picture in your heart, Dipper, said Annie. Hold it close to you, and one day you'll be living it, we promise. For a long time, the three of them just stared at the picture. When Jack looked back at Dipper again, he saw tears glistening in Dipper's eyes. Okay, I'll do that, said Dipper. He wiped his eye with his palm of his hand. I think I can keep my job and start making a little room for my music, too. Yes, said Annie. Maybe you should go play with your fellas on the riverboat tonight, said Jack. Yeah, maybe I'll try to do that, said Dipper. Great, said Annie. Jack heaved a sigh and put their book away. Dipper stood up. But now you all have to get going. On Eve of All Saints Day, there's a crew for kids under 13. They have to be off the streets by 9, or the Patty will pick them up. So you're definitely on your path to sharing your music with the world, right, man? Asked Jack. Dipper laughed. I reckon I am, he said, thanks to a couple of potato heads. Okay, good, said Jack. He and Annie stood up to go home. We need to walk to Bourbon Street and catch the streetcar to Canal Street. Let's go, said Dipper. The three of them left the waterfront. They walked past Jackson Square and headed past the cathedral on St. Peter's Street. I'll walk you back to Bourbon Street, said Dipper. Then do you have to ride back with us to Canal Street, said Annie, so we can hang out together a little longer on the train? You know I can't do that, said Dipper. They won't let me sit with you and all in the streetcar. Why not? Asked Jack. I'd have to sit in the back while you all sit in the front, said Dipper. What are you talking about, said Annie. You're all right. I'm black, said Dipper. So, said Annie, black folks aren't allowed to sit with white folks. That's the way it is, said Dipper. Are you kidding? That's crazy, said Annie. No, I'm not kidding, said Dipper. He stopped walking and looked closely at Jack and Annie. Where are you all from? How'd you get that crazy history book with my picture in it? And why did you all come here to find me? It's really, really hard to explain, Dipper, said Jack. But just know this. One day things are going to change. Everybody will sit together on trains and buses and planes. And one day an African American man will run for president of the United States, said Annie. And millions of people of all colors will vote for him. And he'll win, said Jack. Dipper laughed and shook his head. Okay, now I know I'm dreaming, he said, but I really like this dream. It's the truth, said Annie. We promise. By now they had come to the corner of St. Peter's Bourbon Street. This is where I will leave you, said Dipper. Annie threw their arms around Dipper and gave him a big hug. Goodbye, Dipper. Jack did the same. Bye, man, he said. Thanks a million. Same to you, said Dipper. Hey, there's your streetcar now. The streetcar glided to a stop at the corner. Jack and Annie hopped aboard and sat in front. As the streetcar went up Bourbon Street, they stuck their hand out the window and waved to Dipper. He waved back. Jack and Annie waved and waved until they couldn't see Dipper anymore. Chapter 11. Swing That Music. As the streetcar rumbled down the canal street, Jack looked over his shoulder. Dipper was right. African Americans were sitting in the back while only the white people sat in the front. Jack hadn't even noticed that on their first streetcar ride. Jack's heart felt heavy. Why would anyone not want to sit next to someone just because they're a different color, he wondered. Why could anybody never be mean to Dipper? Dipper who was gentle, friendly, and kind. Dipper who hears music everywhere. Jack listened to the click-clack of the streetcar rolling down the tracks. The sound had a good beat. Jack tapped his hand against his knee until the streetcar came to a stop. Let's go, said Annie. Jack and Annie stood up. Canal Street was bright with lights. People were still selling things on the sidewalk. What time is it, please? Jack asked the conductor. 5 minutes after 9, boy, said the conductor. You all better get home before you get picked up. We are, said Annie. Jack and Annie hopped off the streetcar and started running. They ran to the bottom of Canal Street and crossed to the palm trees in the grove near the Mississippi River. In the dark, they found the rope ladder and scrambled up into the treehouse. Jack grabbed the Pennsylvania book that would take them home. Wait, said Annie, looking out the window. Look, a bright lit Mississippi riverboat was rolling up the river. A large paddle wheel behind the boat was churning the water. Music was coming from on board. Annie grabbed Jack's arm. Listen, the heebie-cheebies, she said. Jack listened. He could hear the trio singing. Little Mac, Happy, and Big Nose Cindy. But the best sound of all was the bright sound of a horn sailing through the New Orleans night. It's Dipper, said Annie. It's gotta be. He caught the boat, said Jack, just in time. Jack and Annie listened to the joyful swinging sounds of Dipper's music until the riverboat rolled out of sight. Jack heaved a happy sigh. Then he pointed at their Pennsylvania book. I wish we could go there, he said. The wind began to blow. The trio started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Acts absolutely still. Jack and Annie were wearing their own clothes again. Rain tapped gently against the roof of the treehouse. A cool breeze blew through the window. "We have to get home before Mom and Dad wake up," said Annie. "Right," said Jack. He pulled out the history of New Orleans music out of his backpack and left it on the floor. Annie put the trumpet beside it. Then they headed down the rope ladder. They pulled up their rain hoods as they tramped in their boots through the wet autumn woods. They both were quiet. Finally, Annie said, "I feel good." "I feel good too," said Jack. We accomplished our mission. But I feel other things too," said Annie. "I feel mad that Dipper couldn't sit in the streetcar with us." "Me too," said Jack. "And it wasn't just in New Orleans. A long time ago, they had laws like that in lots of places." "Unbelievable," said Annie. "Yeah," said Jack. "And I felt scared when I think of spiders in the web," said Annie. "Oh, they didn't bother anybody," said Jack. "But I feel scared when I think of ghosts." "Actually, they didn't bother anybody either," said Annie. "True," said Jack. "And neither did that bat." Annie laughed. "That's true," she said. "I feel sad when I think that we'll never see Dipper again." "We can listen to his music," said Jack. "Yeah, and I guess the music all around us will always make us think of him," said Annie. Right now, Dipper would hear the music of the rain. "Tap-dee-tap-tap," said Jack. "And the music of our feet crunching over the dead leaves," said Annie. "Crunchity crunch crunch," said Jack. "Patty pat pat," said Annie. "Skiddy skiddy 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 skidaddy doo," said Annie. "Go, Mama, go," shouted Jack. And the two of them ran out of the Frog Creek woods and up their street, heading for home. More facts from Jack and Annie. The city of New Orleans is nestled on the Mississippi River in southern Louisiana. The historic city is a blend of many cultures. Its architecture, food, and music were generally inflected by a mix in French, Spanish, African, German, and Irish settlers. In 2005, New Orleans was hit by Hurricane Dorian, one of the deadliest storms in American history. Much of the city became flooded and over 1,000 people lost their lives. The city is still rebuilding after the devastating storm. New Orleans is famous for being a birthplace of jazz music. Jazz bands played in clubs and march banquets and street parades. The most famous parade of the year happens on Mardi Gras in the late winter. On the day, many thousands of tourists and news people participate in processions. Louis Armstrong was born in New Orleans in August 1901. He died in Queens, New York in July 1971. His friends and family called him Dipper because he had a fondness for children for a song called Dipmouth Blues. All the chapters titles on this book were titled of songs Louis Armstrong recorded early in his career. A year before he died, Louis Armstrong told a reporter, "I think I have a beautiful life. I didn't wish for anything that I couldn't get, and I got pretty near everything I wanted because I worked for it." In Louis Armstrong's New York Times obituary published on July 18, 1971, his friend and fellow musician Dizzy Gillespie wrote, "Louis is not dead, for the music is and will remain in the heart of the minds and countless millions of the world's people, and in the playing of hundreds of thousands of musicians who have come under the inflection. The king is dead. Long live the king." In A Good Night for Ghosts, Jack and Annie travel in New Orleans and run into a horde of parade ghosts. Using their imaginations, they follow these instructions to make salt dough. Create your own horde of ghosts. You will need 1 cup flour, 1 cup salt, 1.5 cup water, large bowl, wooden spoon, wax paper, toothpicks, microwave plate, safe plate, permanent markers. So, good night and goodbye. Next time I will be reading High Time for Heroes. Don't look down. Jack and Annie must find another seeker of greatness for Merlin the Magician. This time their mission is to take them time-traveling pair to the Nile River in Egypt in the mid-1800s. They're looking for an unusual hero in history, the world's greatest nurse, Florence Nightingale. But when Jack and Annie find the famous woman, they discover that she's unhappy with her life and can't help them. Can they help her instead? And could a baby boon, a bad accident, and a few daring acts of heroism help them all? Mary Pope Osborne blends chills, thrills, and spills in another amazing edition in the best-selling Magic Treehouse series.